Lots of winners for week 8. Hard to come up with losers for this video, but that's what we like to see. Offense is back. National tight end day, crammed down our throats, but tight end. I have a theory about that, which we'll get to at the end of the video. So if you want to stick around for that.
Well, it's not Hallmark or anything like that, but it's something.
Yeah. But we're going to kick it off here, going over some winners and losers. Starting off with winners, as always, Jalen Hurts, 4 total touchdowns to the, unfortunately for Saquon managers, but 240 yards passing, 37 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a passing touchdown for Jalen Hurts. He is the number 1 overall player on the week. Take it away, Dad. This was one of your winners.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to ignore. I try to, when I look at winners and losers, I always try to, look at people. The losers, I love, to bang on the, the first or second round fantasy draft picks, who had a scrub week and stuff like that. The winners, it's I'm trying to look at people who had a good week. Maybe you weren't expecting it, but I couldn't ignore this. You can't ignore the points, Depending on your scoring format, it was around 35 points. So,
yeah.
And if you were playing them, you probably won.
Yeah. Is he, besides, just looking at the quarterback list, it's like Lamar and then maybe Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Those are easily the top 3 guys, right? You can make an argument for Hurts as number 1. I probably wouldn't take him over Lamar, but for compared to everyone else, he's been awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterback rankings, I heard listen on XM radio, and they said, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes is the number 21 quarterback," and I'm like, "Damn."
Well, Stroud is right there too. He's like QB 15. So
15 is a little more easier to swallow than 21.
Well, yeah, but it's 20. Actually points per game because Mahomes is at his bye. Mahomes is better than Stroud. Mahomes is 21. Stroud is 23. So yeah, it's not good for these non-rushing quarterbacks, So AJ Brown, Hurts with AJ Brown has basically averaged over 25 points, I believe. Over 25 points in the 4 games with AJ Brown on the field. So that makes a big difference for him, obviously. Yeah, good to see from him. I have Caleb Williams as a loser, 130 passing yards, 41 rushing yards, 0 touchdowns. Something to note, we were kind of buying into Caleb Williams. He's kind of turning the corner. Good to remember that he is still a rookie and things are going to happen. And also, we haven't seen the Bears. We haven't seen them do it against a good defense. And I'm starting to think the Commanders are actually a good defense now. So, obviously he had the bad games to begin the year against the Titans and Texans, good defenses, not great, but good defenses. And then he had a good stretch and he played Rams, who were beat up, Panthers, Jaguars, who are terrible. And then he played, had the bye, and then he played the Commanders. And, I think we thought the Commanders were really, really bad defense, but they have a defensive coach. Things could be turning around. And you look at the Commanders now, and they've given up only 14 points, 13 points, 7, and now 15 in 4 of their last 5 games. They gave up 30 to the Ravens, but those are the Ravens, right? But in between all of that, or in the middle of all that, 4 of their last 5 games, they've held their opponents of 15 or points or less. So just something to note with the Bears in general. Haven't seen them do it against a good defense. We need to see them do it against a good defense. And unfortunately, they get the Cardinals coming up, but then they get Patriots, Packers, Vikings, Lions, Niners. They get a pretty tough stretch there, in my opinion. Yeah, Caleb Williams, just something to note with the Bears overall. Good to see the rushing floor, though. Into the next one here, we have James Cook. James Cook, we have as a winner, 17 carries, 111 yards, 3 catches, 22 yards, 2 touchdowns. What are your thoughts here on Mr. James Cook?
Yeah, I think as Buffalo, I know everybody thinks Josh Allen and stuff like that is making the engine go there in Buffalo, but I think when teams have somebody running the ball like this, and it certainly makes the game a little easier, to manage. So yes, Seahawks. I didn't expect this in our weekly football pool. I picked Seahawks thinking, Buffalo's got to travel a long ways, and Seahawks are at home, 12th man, the defensive coach, and I was like, nah, that was wrong. But James Cook, really good.
Yeah, he's on pace for 1,500 total yards and 19 touchdowns. He has
That's
touchdowns in
pretty
7 games. Yeah, not quite. I think we all expected him to be a little bit more of a pass catcher coming out of college. Not quite to that level. I mean, he had 44 last year. That's kind of standard for guys who are playing every single game and out there all the time. Yeah, but it's good to see him come back. And also, it's good to see that Ray Davis didn't really do too much to take away from his production, which we were getting a little bit worried about. But, he had the injury, came back. Ray Davis was a little bit more involved than we liked, but then it was kind of in terms of just the usage, his snap percentage still only around 55%, but he's getting 20 touches in 2 of his last 3 games. So yeah, definitely good to
This
see
is
there.
I know last week we had at least was it 11 or 12 running backs that were over 20 points.
Yeah.
I think so. We didn't have as many this week, but we had another. If you ask me, we had another really good running back week. So a lot of guys producing. So, and James Cook is at the top of the list.
Yeah, for sure. I have Cole Kmet here, another Bear. Actually, I didn't even realize, but back-to-back Bears. 1 target, 1 catch, 14 yards. It's more about it was more about his rotation for whatever reason. He ran a route on 60% of the Bears' plays, and he played down. He fell below 70% snap percentage, and that's kind of how they were using him in the beginning of the year when he wasn't doing well. Beginning of the year, he had 1 catch for 4 yards, 4 catches for 27 yards, and then he started to take off a little bit. And you look at his snap percentage, 48 week 1, 77 week 2, 80, 90, 85, 85. And then under 70% for route runs here. So generally, tight ends who aren't running, running that number or less are pretty unreliable. So it's tough to know if this was just a 1 week thing or if this is going to go back to more of a tight end rotation like they were showing us. If it is, he's going to become a little bit more unreliable, Cole Kmet. So just something to note there, unfortunately. On National Tight Ends Day. CeeDee Lamb, 17 targets, 13 catches, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Got a lot of it at the end there. He was going to have a good game, and then the end really pushed him over. But yeah, go ahead, Dad. Coming off the bye, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, it was a lot of it was at garbage time, and again, it was hard for me to ignore I think he was the top scorer for the week, I guess, if you look on ESPN.com, but and like 39 points, and I actually have him in a league where his big Sunday night allowed me to win a matchup by 4 points. So I got to say, well, thanks, CD. Not a Dallas Cowboy fan or anything like that, but yeah, again, garbage time. Where defense is starting to get a little soft. The game was at like 31-10 there for a bit, and then defense started to get softened up. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand why teams do that. Like prevent defense. It's like, well, just do what you were doing that got you to this point. Um, of being up by 21 points. Not quite garbage time. Like there was obviously like there was like 3-4 minutes left and they were within one possession. So but yeah, again, I think you're right about them letting up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, this was the time last year that we saw for CD Lamb coming off the bye, him and Dak like took off. So that's what
Yeah.
it's showing here again,
Yep.
potentially. So Sean Tucker, 2 carries, 3 yards, 1 catch, 12 yards. Again, this is kind of a usage thing here. They didn't use him at all. I think we were a little bit worried that it's going to become a 3-headed monster. Sean Tucker played 6 snaps, it looks like. So he didn't do anything so much, I guess, for their 3-headed monster. I think that's better for fantasy. We can probably rely on guys like Bucky and Rachaad White a little bit more, especially in the passing game. Bucky Irving had 9 for 44 on the ground, 7 catches for 40 yards through the air. And then Rachaad White had 6 for 29 with 5 catches and 40 yards through the air. So that's good if it's going to be 2 guys. If it's 3, we're out. But it's looking like it is just going to be 2 guys here. And, unfortunately, Sean Tucker might become a if injured type of back. So if someone gets injured, then he might be worth something. Sucks if you spend a lot of fab on him. Like we did see, well, it was more in Dynasty. We saw people shelling out the fab for. So
$600.
Yeah. Lad McConkey, 6 targets, 6 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns, leading the Chargers to victory. And are we going to start seeing a little bit more of this, like a consistent pass catcher with Herbert?
Well, here we go. We always say when we talk about rookies, we say guys. Sometimes it takes a half a season for some players to kind of get their crap together and figure out what's going on, and this might be the time. And I kind of see that in Buffalo slightly with Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
So here's a couple guys that are starting to make some plays, and the Chargers, their wide receiver core is not, other than McConkey, it's not great. So this is I think one of his touchdowns was like a 60-yarder too, where he looked like he was back in Georgia, catch the ball and a lot of yards, a lot of yak, as they say, yards after catch and all that other crap. So hopefully you can do well. But yep, looked good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and you look at it now, obviously a little bit inflated by this 29-point game, but he's wide receiver 27 in PPR. He kind of gives you a little bit of a safe floor, like only one game below 7 points, 2 games below 8.5 points, and then 3 double-digit games. So, and then you look at Herbert's numbers, and over the last 3 weeks, we've seen Herbert averaging 35 pass attempts per game, and he's had 350 yards passing against Arizona, 280 this week against New Orleans. So, I think that's where we can expect. Beginning of the year, they were averaging like 25 passing attempts per game. I think we should expect a little bit more, around 35, and that could make Herbert and a couple other guys relevant, especially if they're efficient. So, good to see there. I have Trevor Lawrence as a loser now. He played well, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. So he had 3 total touchdowns at 300 yards. So obviously that part is not a loser, but he's losing his receivers. Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, and Christian Kirk, all of those guys were out or missed the game or didn't play the game or left the game early. Gabe Davis left with the shoulder injury in the second quarter. Christian Kirk broke his collarbone. And then we got the update this morning. Brian Thomas is probably going to miss 2 to 4 weeks, although he did come out and say he feels good and he hopes to be practicing or something like that. What did he say? Everything
Yeah.
was good from the MRI and hopes to practice soon. So, but they came out and said 2 to 4 weeks, and so you're losing your top 2 guys for sure. Now you're down to like Evan Ingram, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange, Tim Jones, guys like that. So tough for T-Law, who was starting to look better recently, but this is a kind of a tough blow here. Just for reference, Trevor Lawrence, QB8 over the last 3 weeks, so we've seen him kind of getting closer to what we expected. But yeah, kind of sucks. Kind of fade the Jags, or fade Trevor Lawrence, right? Don't start him.
No.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
little too inconsistent, really.
Yeah, agreed. Cade Otton on National Tight Ends Day. 10 targets, 9 catches, 81 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Baker threw the ball 50 times, and I think his running backs and tight ends caught like half of those. But yeah, Cade Otton, take it away. Is this more to be expected?
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of seen the writing on the wall. I think we talked about it leading up to Sunday's games. Look, the wide receivers are out, so you got to look for a reliable target, and this kind of confirmed, this production kind of confirmed it. So,
yeah, and I think we're expecting it with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin out, and things like that. We're expecting Cade Otton. He has the best relationship with Baker, and he was already giving you solid floor production. He plays 100% of the snaps, so he's out there all the time. Yeah, he's definitely going to be potentially a top 5 tight end the rest of the way from this point on. So, yeah, good to see, and good to see for tight ends in general. They set the most receptions by tight ends in a single Sunday. Amari Cooper, 2 targets, 1 catch, 3 yards. Pretty disappointing here from what we were expecting. And I think we were expecting him to play a little bit more, and he didn't. I know he's adjusting to a new offense and things like that, but one thing that makes me slightly hesitant or nervous about Amari Cooper, not that I think they are going to slowly get him more and more involved, but Keon Coleman, like you mentioned before, is coming on a little bit, and they definitely are going to want to see. They're not going to stunt that, his growth. Keon Coleman, they're not going to all right, you're on the bench now, Keon Coleman. He's a rookie receiver who they probably would have taken with a first-round pick if they couldn't have traded back. And I don't think they want to just put him on the bench now after seeing back-to-back good games from him. And they want him to develop, and so I think that could hurt Amari Cooper a bit in his, what we're thinking. So I know some people thought, okay, we have a top 12 wide receiver now. I think he's going to be more of a low-end wide receiver too, especially with Keon Coleman coming off or coming on a little bit. So, yeah, I think a little bit disappointing for Cooper, who, only played 50% of the snaps. Anything you want to add on there?
No, it's I don't know, a little bit of a roll of the dice. So so I don't know. Depends. It's hard to nail it, and say this is going to happen, or we can expect this, or it looks like that. It looks a little wishy washy, if Cooper's like a starter.
Yeah, I mean, you got Khalil Shakir doing this thing. They're going to run the ball and things like
that.
That
guy looked pretty good yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks really good. And then you just look at it, and Josh Allen has thrown more than 35 times. He hasn't thrown more than 35 times once this year. His highest was yesterday, 34 times. So other than that, he's basically averaging 30 pass attempts a game. So, Khalil Shakir is going to get his. Dalton Kincaid's going to get his, and these other guys, Keon Coleman's going to get his. But when you're only throwing the ball 28 times per game is what he's averaging. So, yeah, not a lot of volume to go around there. And then last up here, we have Jameis and the Browns. Just the Browns in general, because I don't think we're going to be starting Jameis Winston in one quarterback leagues. Superflex is a different story. I know he had the dropped interceptions. That's who Jameis is. That's just who he is. Like, he's going to go 30 and 30, right? But you just look at the numbers for the Browns, who didn't score more than 20 points or 21 points, whatever it was. More than 20. Their highest before this week was 18 points. They scored 29. They upset the Ravens. And again, you just start looking at the numbers for these guys, and you're like, okay, like I can maybe start some players here, right? I can start some guys. Again, we had just trying to get it up here. We had Cedric Tillman, 7 catches, 99 yards. Elijah Moore, 8 catches, 85 yards. Jerry Jeudy, 5 catches, 79 yards. David Njoku, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. And those are the big guys there, right? Like, you had literally 1, 2, 3. You had 4 Browns players that you could have started and been happy with their production. 2 of them you've been really happy in, Tillman and Njoku. And if you for some reason started Elijah Moore or Jerry Jeudy, then you were happy as well. Like, so that's exciting to see for the Browns, and it just makes you realize, like, man, this was all along. This was there all along. So kind of crazy, in my opinion, just for him, especially because they upset the Ravens, and it was because Jameis led them to a victory, right? So pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff from famous Jameis, as they call him.
Barf.
Anything? Not excited?
No, I mean, it's good. And yeah, the numbers are good. It was really disturbing the dropped interceptions, but that's on the Ravens. And yeah, he does throw Winston does throw interceptions and stuff like that. But in deeper leagues, like you said, you're going to start the guy.
Yeah.
So that's.
And honestly, like, in fantasy leagues, interceptions aren't punished enough to even really matter.
Right.
In our leagues, I do it -3 and 6 point per passing touchdown and stuff like that. But most leagues, I think standard, like Fantasy Pro scoring, which I assume is catered to what most, sites out there do, is -1 for interception. So, like, you don't really care.
Nothing. Yeah, that's right.
And like, honestly, it probably leads to more fantasy production, because you throw an interception, that team usually gets good field position, they score, and now you have to chase the points. Like, it probably leads to more fantasy points if it's only -1 than it does hurt you. So, yeah, indeed. And then shout out to the tight ends. Like, they were awesome. I think there was a stat I heard, like, let's see. I think it was something about how many points. Like, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 tight ends have 20 or more points. Another 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 of them had 14.5 points or more. It was something like combined the previous 7 weeks, there wasn't even as many 20-point games as there was this one day. And it makes me think, like, if this National Tight End Day, which the NFL really wants to make a thing, it was just shoved down our throats the entire Sunday. Like, you just heard people say it. It makes me think a little conspiracy of, like, are they trying to make this a thing and, like, market it and, like, sell merchandise? Because I heard someone say, like, who previously worked for the NFL, like, actually, like, they had T-shirts for it and stuff like that. And then it's just weird that, like, the tight ends, like, went off today. It's almost like, hey, the team went to teams and, like, hey, make sure the tight end's a part of your plan in this week. It's just very, very strange to me.
Well, I think some of it started a few years back. It was Greg Olson, and I think it was Kittle. When they started doing instead of the Manning, instead of the Manning passing camp, they said, "Oh, the hell with that. We're gonna focus. We're gonna have a week of tight ends." And So I don't know about where the tight end. It is all about marketing, but how it's kind of strange how they get the announcers to say it so much, and
That's what I'm
and
saying. Like, it
yeah,
feels like it's a thing like the NFL really wants to make like happen. So whatever, as long as tight ends produce like that, I don't care. Let's get a running back week and a quarterback week and all of that. And if they're going to play like that, by the way, shout out to Kyle Pitts. I know he gets much maligned. Kyle Pitts. He's tight end 4 on the year. He's has four straight good games, and he had a big game yesterday. And so yeah, shout out Kyle Pitts. He's kind of showing why we shouldn't sleep on him, So, but that is it for Week 8 recap of winners and losers. We'll be back as always after the game tonight and throughout the week. So check all that out. Hit that like and subscribe button. We have 3 more days till the end of the month. Let's see what number we can get to. We are at 712. So let's see if we can get to, 720, 725 before the end of the month. So appreciate everyone and see you all in the next